If you're a frustrated QPR fan, welcome. You are in decent company this week because you played so well, of course, against Sheffield United. And if you play like that every week, then surely this QPR side are going places. We've got Michael and Joad to run over that frustrating result against the Blades. Also, we're talking about these topics as well. Why are we still seeing Chair out on the sides? Why we're not having him through the middle? And some people are saying that Cook doesn't seem the same player since he's come back from injury. We'll get Michael and Jared's view on that, and we'd welcome yours in the comments too. We're also appointing our February Player of the Month, and we are looking ahead to the playoff final in May and talking about which two teams we would love to see there. Is it fair to say, Jared, it's unlikely now to be QPR?
Yeah, I think it was very unlikely before yesterday's game. I think it's almost impossible now, and I think we're going to end up where we deserve to end up, anywhere between probably 11th and 16th. Still, I would say. I think the consistency isn't there yet for playoff push, and we're going to rely on so many teams to slip up, which just isn't going to happen now.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, there was a thought, Michael, from one fan in particular. That actually you're still in a relegation battle. I'll just bring it up and get your views on it. Very disappointing yesterday, going backwards at precisely the wrong time. We still need 8 points, and we're still in a relegation battle. Hard month ahead. Strap yourselves in. I'm not having that. Are you? You're not in a relegation battle, are you?
No, I think it's a bit of a strange outlook. There's always going to be people saying that, but just if the way we played yesterday was one of the best performances. Obviously, the last months is a derby game, and I think on another day we would have got all 3 points. So to say we're in a relegation scrap is just it's mental, to be honest.
Yeah, there are lots of positives for QPR. Let's start with a couple of them. Tom says, to be honest, it's a good performance today. Sheffield United far more clinical. It needs saying again, however, we're so much better as a side when Chair plays through the middle and we use two wingers. I thought Varane, Colback midfield combined really well, which is a positive. Do you agree with that, Michael?
Yeah, I think Varane was one of our best players yesterday. He can completely control the midfield. And obviously Colback with his experience, they're together. They work well. So I think I see a lot of people saying about Field and how that should be Varane and Colback should be our two defensive midfielders. But I think Field gets a lot of unnecessary stick. To be honest, I think him and Colback are interchangeable. So.
Yeah. What about this Chair through the middle, Joad? It's not a new debate on this channel, but it rises its head again.
Yeah, I think in Marty's eyes, he's undroppable. I think the bigger issue is that when he plays wide, we can't play with two out and out wingers, and the best performances recently have come when he's played Paul Smith, Saito, Yang, two of those wide where we really stretch teams. Because no matter how well he tries to play on the left, he always wants to come inside and play in the middle. So I think he tried to shore it up a little bit at the weekend with Morgan in there, and I think he probably looks back on that, Marty, and maybe regrets maybe that being a tad negative. Maybe Morgan struggled a bit, I thought, against the more experienced side, a more physical side. Could have set one up for Yang in the first half and decided to shoot himself. But I think moving forward, I'll be surprised if he doesn't go back to Joe in the middle with the two wide players, because I think we look more of a threat. There's nothing to play for now, is there? Let's be honest. We aren't going up. We aren't going down. Let's go and have a bit of fun, attack teams. The next two away games look tough on paper, but I think we can go there confident that we can score against these teams.
Yeah. Here to that. And lots of other fans said that actually. Just be more expansive now. We've got nothing to lose. John here says 16 shots, 4 on target. They had 2 on target and scored both. And here is where the issue, why we won't ever get top 10. And is it as simple as that, Michael, that it is really about just the top of that pitch for you? That's the difference between where you are and where Sheffield United are?
Yeah, they were clinical. I do think the first goal, Nardi should have come off his line and claimed it. But obviously the second goal we can't do anything about. So it's sort of two 2 goals that on another day, if we'd have made different decisions, they wouldn't have happened. But ultimately, we got punished in the end. So yeah.
Okay.
I
The
think,
other
I
player.
think, I think, sorry, I think what's interesting for us is the sooner that they can get Salah back, the better, because we've only seen him play in a team that's been struggling. The second that the form turned was when he scored 2 goals against Cardiff, and the following game he got injured. So it'll be really interesting to see him play in a side with 2 wingers, with Chair there, and see if he is going to be capable of playing in this league and scoring 15 goals a season, because Frey's done a great job. I can't knock him at all. But if you are serious about challenging for a top 6 place next season, they are going to need a striker. And whether or not Salah's that player, none of us know, because he was playing in a struggling side. He was lacking in confidence. He goes and scores 2 brilliant goals against Cardiff. Had 2 chances, scored them both, difficult chances too. And yeah, I think if we can get him back fit for the last eight games and really see what he can do, then I think who knows, he could be the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Good shouts. Cook, then let's get on to that chat. Number of fans saying something not quite right about him since he's come back. Daniel says, I hate to say it, but I feel Cook has been a chink in our armour since he came back from injury. He should never have started with Morgan and Colbert yesterday. We needed more pace from the start. These 3 players are lacking pace big time. Also, risk starting with teenagers together. We'll focus on the Cook bit of that first, Michael, if that's okay. That wasn't an isolated tweet as well. There were others saying, yeah, he's just off the pace a bit. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. I think last season, when he came in, everyone was like, "This is what we've needed for such a long time," an experienced centre half who controls the back line. But I think since Ronnie Edwards has come in, it shows the difference between them both. Ronnie Edwards has come in and he's made Cook look like the up and coming defender, obviously, albeit very slow. But he is off the pace. But I do think that having him in our defence does give the confidence for Ronnie Edwards to come out of position and go in for the challenge, because he knows that Cook is going to keep his shape. So ultimately, I feel like he's not been at his best, but I still think he's a good asset to have. And in the changing room as well, I think he is a good character.
Jared, do you agree?
Yeah, it's funny that we've had 5 defeats in 7, which is not a great run, and it's coincided when we've had players coming back, when we seem to be struggling to put out a team, and they're kind of backs against the walls a little bit. We've got the results. I do wonder how much he is playing through the pain barrier, because the injury looked quite serious when it first happened. That plantar fascia can be quite a painful injury. So I do wonder if he's come back quickly and is playing with painkilling injections or anything, just to kind of get himself through. But there was one moment in the first half yesterday where he was in a race against Tyrese Campbell, and obviously Tyrese Campbell's always going to win that, but the pace at which he won it and the distance between them was quite staggering. And I turned to my friend and said he just looks a little bit off the pace. And when I consider how well Morgan Fox was doing, I do wonder if there might be especially with 2 games in a week next week. I do wonder if he might have a rest.
Okay. All right. Let us know what you think in the comments as well. Some of the little bits coming out of the game. Yang, Michael, little bit of criticism for him. Did he have a good game?
I think it's difficult. Since he's come in, he is direct, and I feel like that's one of his best assets. I do think he lacks the physicality, and I do think he gets pushed off the ball. I think for Sheffield United's first goal, it was him that was dispossessed, which is just you can't. You have to make sure that you're making the right passes at the right time, getting out of this situation. I think he's a bit naive. I think he believes that he can just dribble around an entire Sheffield United team and score the goals. So um, I do think that he's obviously not the finished article yet, but I think now we've got Dembele, obviously Sato, Chair, Smith. We have a lot of options, and maybe he shouldn't be. Maybe he should be utilised more as a substitution later on in the game. That's what I think.
Okay. Jared, does he doesn't start at West Brom then for you?
I think he was signed in hope that he would give us a little bit extra if we were pushing for the playoffs. But now that's gone. I think it's really tough unless he's going to be signing on a season-long loan next season. It seems ridiculous to keep playing him over Dembele, who's fit, or over Saito, or over Smith, who's been outstanding this season. And I could possibly argue that Ronnie Edwards is the same, although I'm not sure how many of our centre backs are going to be there next season anyway, with players out of contract. But I think it would need some justification to carry on playing Yang over the players that are definitely going to be at QPR next season. Even Alfie Lloyd can play wide. So I just feel maybe they're going to have to make a decision over the next few days, really, to see if it's worth carrying on with him ahead of those.
I do think as
other
well he was
players.
brought in as from a commercial standpoint to sell shirts, and I think boost our reach abroad. And I think
Okay.
that we're looking towards that market now. So
All right. Lastly, on the Sheffield United game, the referee, Jawad.
Baffling. Some absolutely baffling decisions. The decision not to send off Chowdhury in the second half. It was a clear booking, in my opinion. He lets it go, and as soon as Chowdhury walks away, the Sheffield United bench turned around and got a sub ready because they knew they had dodged one there. I thought just the general decision making. There was one in the first half where it was clear corner, the clearest corner you're ever going to see, and him and the linesman kind of hesitated and gave a goal kick, and you could see that the QPR players were just stunned. It's nothing but incompetence, and I think Sheffield United have bigger name players. They walk around with a sense of entitlement, I feel, and that kind of team always gets the decisions.
I want to ask you on this. It's very difficult to prove this, but it's human nature. So the referee in particular is only his 5th championship game he's refereed. His other QPR fixture was the your loss to Hull earlier in the season. So he's been to Loftus Road twice now, and you've lost both. It's his first game where he's refereed a sizable team, if you like, in terms of the top. He's spent most of his refereeing times in League One and League Two this season. Do you think possibly that plays into a referee's mind when you're refereeing the first time at a team like Chris Wilder's Sheffield United? I'm not saying that they're a bigger side than yours, but you get my point, Michael. Do you think some referees try and then potentially favour the
I do think
the sides that they don't upset?
Yeah, I think the stakes are higher for them in their heads if they get a decision wrong against a team like Sheffield United, and I think you see it with online the ramifications that referees do face when they get a decision wrong for a big side. They get cancelled as basically as they shouldn't be refereeing at this level. People are they're more likely to kick off about it. That's what I think, and I think obviously it's not the right way to go about it. But I do think it's human nature that you want to just don't want to make a mistake, and I think you have to just choose who you're not going to upset, really.
Funny, because halfway through that game yesterday, they broke that new rule about goalkeepers holding on for it for 8 seconds. If that rule had been in place in the second half yesterday, we'd have had about 7 or 8 extra corners because that goalkeeper held onto the ball, and the referee would go over to him and he would warn him, and you could see him warning him, and he did absolutely nothing to try and stop that. So I think there is that unconscious bias, 100%, and like Michael said, that fear of getting something wrong against one of the big clubs that could have an impact in the promotion race. I think just incompetence.
Yeah, well said, both of you. Right then, West Brom it is then this weekend, and of course the opening game of the season, reverse fixture of that was a bit of a horror show from Marty and QPR, wasn't it? Back in back in the very hot August. That was the team back then, Michael, that Marty put out against West Brom that conceded 4 at home, which was a result we didn't see coming. How's the team? How's the current team compared to that one that we saw in August?
Yeah, I think the big difference is our attack. We have a lot more options now going forward. I think we're a lot more versatile and interchangeable. I think Anderson was coming off the back of a promising season last season, but he's just not been up for it. But I think ultimately it was Josh Madger that made the difference. He just made our team look like kids. So it's worrying, but I think we should be all right. The defense is the same pretty much. So.
Yeah, Jimmy Dunn had a nightmare in that game, Joan, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Do you expect a different result this time round?
4 of those players are actually out with medium to long term injuries. Actually, it will be interesting to see if those four were fit, how close it would actually be to that. I think we'll give a good account of ourselves. I think they've obviously got a lot more to play for, which maybe adds a little bit of pressure. I know the Hawthorn sometimes, if things don't go for them, they can turn on their team a bit. But like I said, I think we should approach these games with a kind of carefree attitude, go in to win them all. I just really hope the season doesn't peter out. Like I said, 5 defeats in 7 it doesn't feel like it because the games have been close. We've not really been outplayed much. But you just don't want it to kind of peter out and end on a bad run after the start that we had. If we did finish 18th or 19th, it's going to be seen as a really poor season, I think, overall.
Yeah. Well, our Sheffield United fans wanted to pass on that they hope you play against Leeds like that in a couple of weeks' time for them, because they reckon if you do, you might beat them. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for them, I suppose. Right. February Player of the Month time. We're into March, so time to select a player who perhaps won't win the club official one, Michael, but might or should do. Who are you going with this month?
I think because I want to go unobvious. So I probably would say Frey. I think it's the best month he's had. I think he's looking a lot more confident. Obviously, he had a disallowed goal against Sheffield United yesterday. He obviously scored the penalty. I think his off the ball work has improved massively. I think he's closing down players more. I do think he's got to work on his first touch, but he's the sort of aggressive striker that I think if he does get firing, he's a good option with Salah to have up top. So I'd probably say him, or the obvious one would be Ronnie Edwards. He's been another outstanding month.
I'll go a bit more obvious with Ilias Chair, because the 2 victories that we've had against Derby and Blackburn have been pretty much down to his performances in the middle. Edwards has been good, but again, when we've lost a number of games in the month, I think you've got to look at somebody who maybe has made an impact in those victories. So for me, probably the first time this season that we can say he deserves it as well.
Yeah. 2 good shouts. Thank you very much. Before we let you go, please do drop us a subscribe. We are very close to now 100. It'd be absolutely massive for us to get there this week. If you can help us, just nudge us over line. We massively appreciate it, and thank you for all your comments as well. Last week you relegated 3 sides you didn't like. This week we're doing the opposite, and we're asking you to be a bit nicer and put 2 sides that you do like into the Championship playoff final, which has now been agreed. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. I want that one. It's now been agreed by the EFL that it's going to take place on the 24th of May. So, Michael, the season's over. You're sitting in your sandals and your shorts in a hot beer garden somewhere in London, watching the playoff final. Who do you want to be watching?
I'd like to see Bristol City win it against a team like Sunderland or Burnley. I think it would be nice to see them in the top flight. I think they've got a good following, and it's something different. And they've been doing very, really well lately, so they've got every chance of making it. So yeah, Bristol City to go up through the playoffs.
I mean, I have put the QPR emblem on there because there's still a chance. But I mean, realistically, Jawed, what would you like to watch?
Honestly, there's quite a lot of teams there that just annoy me. And I'm going to go for the two least offensive, in my opinion, which are Middlesbrough and Blackburn. Blackburn we tend to have a really bad record against them. They don't bring many fans to QPR. I wouldn't miss playing them. Middlesbrough, quite like Carrick. Again, they always bring quite a good following to QPR. So in terms of having a game where I don't really care who wins, it'll be Middlesbrough Blackburn with Borough to win it, hopefully. Although I wouldn't mind seeing Sunderland lose in the final. I wouldn't mind seeing Burnley lose. I wouldn't mind seeing Frank Lampard crying, losing in the final. So yeah.
No. Right. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. That's great. Right. You two enjoy your trip to the Hawthorns then. We'll catch you in 7 days' time to review it all. Thank you very much for joining us.
Great.
Thank you, Mark.